Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. When I went to Israel, I had been a pastor for about 15 years. Before that, I had been an active member of the church my whole life, attending Sunday school and youth programs and events and more. And I heard countless sermons. Then, when I went to college, I was a religion major, taking college level classes exploring the content and meaning of the Bible. After those 4 years were 4 more years of seminary, an intense graduate level study of the Bible and what it means. Then for 15 years, I had been preaching on it and preparing Bible studies and classes, and not once did it ever cross my mind to ask why this mountain was called the Mount of Olives. When I got there, it turned out there was a pretty simple explanation. The mountain is covered with olive trees. There are groves and groves of olive orchards on this mountain, and the olives are harvested for their oil. As we continued to make our way down the Mount of Olives on my trip to Israel, as we neared the bottom, we went and entered a grove of trees that was the Garden of Gethsemane. The Church of All Nations is there, but I plan to tell you about that tomorrow. When we arrived at the Garden of Gethsemane, it turned out that the chapel was full and we needed to wait our turn to get in. Our tour group was made up entirely of pastors from across the country, and I think they were trying to give us the gold ticket treatment so that we might bring our church members back to tour 2. And so our guide said, "Wait here a minute." When he came back, he invited us to follow him, and we went out of the sidewalk-covered, manicured Garden of Gethsemane and went across the street where he opened a wooden gate. Suddenly, we found ourselves in a regular grove of olive trees, exactly like what a grove of olive trees would have looked like in the time of Jesus, and exactly what the Garden of Gethsemane would have looked like too. For about 20 or 30 minutes, we were able to spend time in this garden grove. And perhaps for many of us, this became a more poignant experience than the actual Garden of Gethsemane. We felt perhaps closer to Jesus and his time in the garden. By the way, before we leave this, in the actual Garden of Gethsemane, there are 2 trees there that are over 2,000 years old. So they were there when Jesus was there. This week we are doing something of a geographical theme, focusing on the importance of the Mount of Olives and the events in the Bible that took place there. Today we turn to the Garden of Gethsemane at the foot of that mountain and the agony Jesus felt there as he anticipated his crucifixion. You know the story, how after the Last Supper and after Judas left in order to betray Jesus to the authorities, Jesus took his disciples out to the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives. There he invited his disciples to wait, watch, and pray. But full from their meal, they quickly fell asleep, while Jesus went a little way off from them and prayed that he might not have to go through the excruciating suffering of the crucifixion. Yet, he prayed, he would do what God wanted him to do. There are many important themes here for us, important implications that happened in that garden of trees on that mountain. We need to see that Jesus' anguish is not symbolic, but real. He experiences fear, sorrow, isolation, and temptation there in that garden. One of the things that means is that when we face those same things, we can be assured that God knows how it feels to be us. God is not wholly other. God is one with us. Another important theme is Christ's active obedience. His prayer was, "Not as I will, but as you will." That's so hard for us to pray sincerely. We so fervently want what we want. Still, Christ's obedience was full obedience, and he was sincerely dedicated to God's will. His love for us was so great that he forewent what was good for Jesus so that he could do what was good for us. We also return once again to the theology of the cross. What happened in Gethsemane reveals God's hiddenness in suffering, salvation through weakness, and glory through the cross, not apart from it. Salvation is accomplished not through power, but through suffering. And maybe there's one thing more for us to see if we look carefully at the failure of the disciples. Jesus asked them for some fairly easy things. Stay here, wait, pray. But what did they do? Several times he came to them and they were asleep. Maybe there's grace for us there too. Their sleep is a picture of human inability. We cannot save ourselves. We cannot even stay awake. Christ must do everything. We need Christ to do everything. And in love, in grace, he does. Frankly, those were the things I thought about that day as I wandered around in that natural grove of olive trees on the Mount of Olives. That day I had the opportunity to draw closer to Christ on that night, and also to know that he had drawn close to me. Thanks for sharing these moments with me. And remember to let this day belong to God.